Coming up on show 591, the reviews are out for the Porsche Taycan, new plug-in hybrids, and Tesla's hiring spree. Those stories and many more coming up on today's podcast. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. In fact, wherever you're listening around the world, welcome to the show for Wednesday, 25th of September. My name is Martyn Lee, going through every EV story that I can find on the internet and saving you time by bringing you the 15 minutes of essential info you need to know. Thank you, as always, to myev.com. Are you following them on your socials? Got an Insta account? You can follow myev. Are you on LinkedIn? You can follow myev. And if you want to check out the world's first dedicated marketplace and finding out why millions of people want to get in an EV over the next few coming years, check out myev.com. So, I think that the embargo, the press office imposed embargo must have lifted, because at the same time, literally, my feed filled up with all of the different people that I follow releasing their reviews of the Porsche Taycan. It seems that Porsche invited people or journalists to do a road trip and then wouldn't let them report on it until a certain time. That seems to have lifted today. There's lots of articles that I could dip into, but you know what I thought I'd do? I would check out Evo magazine. I've always loved Evo magazine. When I was a real petrol head back in the day, I used to love their Car of the Year edition. I'd always make sure I was getting that one from the newsagents. I was like, what would a petrol head magazine make of the Porsche Taycan? And when I looked, yes, they had done a review of it. They said that the Taycan not only spearheads Porsche's EV strategy, but the Cross Turismo will follow in 2020. Before which the next Macan will go fully electric, and that powertrain will also provide the basis for Audi Sport's EV e-Tron GT that debuts later this year. Not on sale this year, though. Says Stuart Gallagher for Evo. Well, Porsche calls it a Performance Battery Plus. I mean, you and I would just call it the battery. It's 93.4 kilowatt hours. The powerpack has electric motors on the front and rear axles. The front one is a single-speed transmission. The rear motor has a dual-speed transmission, and that's how you get that very fast acceleration time, but also some of that efficiency when you're at cruising speeds. You can just use the front motor and save a few electrons. And here's something that I didn't read about in all of the pre-press. Do you remember when Porsche invited Fully Charged along to go and do all of those track sessions with Johnny? And remember how they were very subtly throwing shade at Tesla, because, of course, early Model S's and X's couldn't do too many launches without having just to cool the battery down a little bit. Largely, that is all fixed, as we've seen from recent Nürburgring runs of the Model S from Tesla, and people have the Model 3. Performance, making their YouTube videos of doing 10, 20, 30 launches in a row and showing no sign of slowing down. But it's one of the things that I thought Porsche did really well, that if you did want to pick a fight with Tesla, and I hate all of that aggression, that, for one to win, the other one has to lose. I don't know why we just can't all raise the tide. But anyway, one of the things they did do quite well was big up the performance characteristics of Porsche and throw a bit of shade Tesla's way. Well, Evo say this. Let me read this to you. Wait for the batteries to reach operating temperature. That's 50 degrees C. And you can do that by just driving around for 20 minutes. Put your left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle, engage launch control, and do that up to 10 consecutive times. Which is different to what we heard before, right? Not that I have a problem with that, because let's face it, I'm never going to be doing launch controls in a Porsche, but interesting, a bit of detail that maybe was omitted from some early coverage from those talking down Tesla and talking up the Porsche. Wait for the batteries to reach operating temperature at 50 degrees C. Okay, so then you've got to drive around for 20 minutes. Then left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle, engage launch control, and do that up to 10 consecutive times. Interesting. They note all the other usual things in the article. It's a great read. I recommend you have a look. They mention the 800-volt battery, 270 kilowatt charging, the crazy specs like 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6.3, quarter mile in 10.8 seconds, rear axle steering, all that kind of stuff. The final quote from Evo really does sum up how most people feel, most EV drivers feel. They say, the way in which it delivers its power and torque is borderline undetectable, building speed with no real effort or input required from the driver. And yes, my friends at Evo, that is summing up pretty much every electric vehicle, not just the Taycan. Oh, and they couldn't resist ending the article, by the way, with these 3 words. Your move, Tesla. Which I thought was kind of unnecessary, but maybe I'm too deep into this EV world, because that kind of that mock aggression where it's like, oh, this is what Porsche have done, let's see what Tesla can do, fight, fight, fight. It's just too playground for me, right? Why can't just everyone make great EVs? But, anyway, kind of disappointed at that final line. Didn't need it, could have left out those 3 words, didn't need to finish off a great review with your move, Tesla. But I kind of get it. I'll pop a link in the show notes. I recommend you go read it. It's a brilliant article. Okay, let's talk about an electric Volvo. And in case you're thinking, oh, he means Polestar, the Volvo spin-off. No. Let me tell you about an all-electric Volvo. The XC40 is going to be their very first production all EV. It was announced back in April, for those paying attention, and it was teased today ahead of a full reveal on October 16th, says Motor1.com. The Geely-owned company said that the car will get more details mid-October, but that's brilliant. First EV from Volvo, the XC40, crossover, popular style, great design, fantastic. If you are after a plug-in hybrid, though, they are going to make a version of that. Along with the engine, you get 28.6 miles, which is 46 k's of pure electric range. Not the best, I must admit, actually not the best range on the battery alone. And the second article from Motor1.com today we pick up is BMW's X1 getting a plug-in variant in Europe. After introducing the plug-in hybrid version for the Chinese market, now Europe is going to be getting the BMW X1. Great car, looks nice actually, very stylish, BMW style, BMW performance. The X1, it's a bad name. I like the car, it's a bad name. The X1 X-Drive 25e. If you say to your friends, oh, I like your new car, what is it? Oh, that's the BMW X1 X-Drive 25e. Just give it a simple name, BMW. They're making it for Europe now. Under the skin of the X1 is a plug-in powertrain. So you've got that 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine, which is, it is spitting out pollution. I get that when I talk about plug-in hybrids. I get that. But it's a pretty efficient engine if that's your bag, and it comes with 35 miles, which is 57 kilometres of all-electric range. Now, of course, this is the X1, which is made in China, so I'm just going to double-check that that's not the NEDC range. It's a 10 kilowatt-hour battery pack. So 35 miles, under 60 Ks, seems a little optimistic. I'll check its WLTP. But either way, great news if you are after a plug-in. Well, let's move on to a hiring spree that is happening in China. Tesla has gone on a big-time hiring spree for technicians and software engineers, marketing people, as they gear towards mass production at Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai by the end of the year, reports Nikkei.com. The company began its Shanghai hiring through its official WeChat account on the 1st of September, and they just updated the job listings page today. The job post suggests the company is assembling a factory firmware team. They're going to be the department developing programmable hardware controlling the production line. Now, of course, everyone talks about Gigafactory in Nevada. Everyone talks about Fremont, where they make Teslas. I try and remind people they have a big German outfit, which used to be called Grohmann and was bought. Tesla Grohmann, what's the full name of it? Because they changed the name, didn't they? Tesla Grohmann Engineering? Is that the name? That is the bit of the company which makes... Tesla Grohmann Automation is the company, and that's a German engineering company, and that is a business which makes machines, which makes the cars. Been going in Germany for many years as a family company, bought by Tesla. It must be 2-3 years ago now, but it's often forgotten about. And about 800 people work there on automation and robots and processes. And then those machines go on planes. They go to the factories in America and make the cars. Now, what's interesting is they seem to be saying with these Chinese job ads, actually, we want Chinese skills, Chinese labour, and for people to develop things in China. And we know that because Elon tweeted. He said this: Tesla's building a major engineering team in China. including heavy focus on software and firmware for factory and car. This includes original engineering of new factory processes and cars. Great engineers will only join if original engineering is supported, not just localization. Well, Nikkei continues. The jobs listed on WeChat include first-line technicians, quality controllers, assembly experts and safety guards, amongst other factory operations roles. The candidates are going to be interviewed tomorrow in a jobs fair on Thursday, signalling the mass production in Shanghai can't be far away. Wow! And, staying with Tesla, do you own a Tesla? And do you have connectivity in your car? The premium connectivity package, as you may know it, was only meant to be for a limited time, but that deadline came and went, and people have still got it, and everyone who owns a Tesla, apart from those with the more affordable Model 3s, get that premium connectivity package unlimited for free at the moment. However, Elon has always said that at some point they reserve the right to charge for it. In fact, they should be charging for it already if the original dates hadn't come and gone. According to Electrek today, some owners reporting that they've just seen a data usage counter show up on the screen. A bit like on your mobile phone. If you have an app on your mobile phone from your network that tells you you've used 8 of your 20 gigabytes so far this month, and this is when it renews at the end of the month, it's the same thing. And check out the screenshot on the website. All it says is 0 of 50 gigabytes used. So the counter is there, but it wasn't actually measuring any data. You know, it makes me think that when they start charging all of their customers for premium connectivity, they're developing an app store and an ecosystem. They've added the entertainment in there with Netflix and Spotify, YouTube. They're adding games as well with Tesla Arcade. If they were to have an app ecosystem, which they, like Apple Arcade, which launched last week, which you can pay a flat rate or pay per game or pay per app, you're paying per connectivity, you're obviously paying when you use the superchargers. There's loads of these revenue streams which Tesla are creating, which other car makers have never really done or gone in such a big way for. They've always wanted you to go back to the dealerships and have your car serviced. That was their ongoing revenue stream. Tesla, being a Silicon Valley tech company, thinking like a Silicon Valley tech company. I find it interesting, right? Well, Hyundai Motorsport have completed the first on-track running of their new electric touring car, the Veloster ETCR, their first electric race car project. The brand new car completed 2 days of running at the Hungaroring in Budapest over the weekend, did it trouble-free, and the days at the circuit, which is already an established part of the testing calendar of the FIA, WTCR and the European touring cars. It allowed the Hyundai engineers to learn more about the chassis, the balance, the technical side of it, and harnessing the power from that mid-mounted electric motor and maximising performance and efficiency. Using the expertise in touring car racing shown by their existing piston cars means they want to produce a similarly strong package with electric power. And from 4 wheels to 2, the Mad Max team rider, a chap called Zef Eisenberg, just raced into the record books with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 new motorcycle records set at an event in North Yorkshire, Elvington, over the weekend, riding the Isle of Man TT0 bike. The self-proclaimed speed freak, Zef Eisenberg, got his 4 world records for riding his electric motorbike at an average speed of 185 miles an hour over the timed kilometre, with a peak GPS speed of 197 miles per hour. Man, he is fearless. He has got kahunas, the size of what you wouldn't believe. 197 miles an hour in anything apart from a plane would scare the living life out of me, let alone doing it on a 2-wheeled project from the Nottingham University, which made their electric motorbike. Good man, good man. Right, final story. This will put a smile on your face. It certainly made me laugh. There's something of a throwback to hearing dinosaurs talk about EVs. I mean, literally the dinosaurs that couldn't spot the asteroid coming. The dinosaurs that were walking around the Earth going, what's that in the sky? It's kind of bright. I'm sure it's nothing. Exxon CEO Darren Woods, a man who must know a lot about dinosaurs, what with being the CEO of an Exxon, recently expressed doubts about electric vehicles. Surprise, surprise. According to Teslarati, he's not too keen on electric cars that are powered from the grid. In fact, he said this, and I quote, according to Teslarati, "What's the point of having electric vehicles that will end up being charged by power generated from coal?" End quote. Yes, I mean, indeed. If the grid was powered by coal, what would be the point, apart from the fact that coal-fired power stations are a lot more efficient than combustion engines, but we shouldn't be thinking about that. But that's the fact that if you make electricity a big power station that has a high rated efficiency, that's much better than creating energy from a combustion engine in the car, where most of the energy exploited from that energy source is turned into noise and heat and a little bit of movement, but actually power generated at a power station, whether it's coal, is actually made in a more efficient way. But that aside, because that's a side point, if you look at the stats in the US alone, data from the US Energy Information Administration reveal that less than a third of electricity on the US grid was made from coal last year. That figure is down again this year and will continue to go down. Coal really is a thing of the past. There is residential solar, there's battery storage, and numbers. Even if Mr. Exxon had listened to yesterday's podcast, and I'm sure he could learn one or two things by listening to EV News Daily. If he'd listened to yesterday, he'd have heard me talking about record low prices of offshore wind here in the UK. 6 gigawatts of power from offshore wind being generated at prices that fossil power simply cannot match. We do these things called auctions, like power auctions, and it's a process that companies can go through in order to bid to provide power to our grid system. Has its pros and cons, but from my layman's perspective, it seems like a good way of achieving a low price from people that think they can achieve that. And it's interesting that when you've seen that over recent times, as the auctions have gone on through each different phase and the price lowers and lowers and lowers, the fossil fuel companies have gone, we're out. I'm out. That's it. I'm tapping out. We can't do it that cheap. And then the renewable companies just kept going lower and lower. And then the auction round that was most recently was for crazy low prices, like 5 cents per kilowatt hour for offshore wind being generated. And so we drive our EVs on clean, green, renewable power whenever we can. But not according to the CEO of Exxon. EVs make no sense. What's the point of having EVs if they're charged by coal-powered electricity? Spot the asteroid coming, dinosaurs. Let's talk about question of the week this week. What do you want to hear on this podcast? Is it just EV news, like, pure EV news? Or do you mind me talking about plug-in hybrids or hybrids? What about EV bikes, scooters, planes and boats? Solar and storage, I'd love to know. That's the question of the week this week. Email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com. Leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube. There are 253 patrons of the podcast, and your generosity means I get to make this show. Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby and Avid Technology, all my premium partners. If you want to get any of the previous 590 shows, they are all online for free. The new ones come at you first and free and automatically if you hit subscribe in your podcast app, or we put the audio on YouTube as well. Then you get the show before anybody else. Come and say hi on the socials by searching EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.